Can you imagine a time when the word terabyte sounded like something straight out of science fiction? Well, one company didn't just imagine it, they decided to build for it, decades before big data was even a thing. Today, we're going to unpack the incredible 40-year story of a true data giant, Teradata.
And that quote right there, it just nails it. This isn't just a story about a company getting bigger. It's a story about survival. I mean, how does any company stay at the top of its game through so many technological revolutions? That's really the big question we're going to explore.
So, let's rewind the clock. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Back to a time when thinking about massive datasets was, for pretty much everyone, pure fantasy.
The year is 1979. The world is run by these giant monolithic mainframe computers. But inside NCR Corporation, a small team has this absolutely radical idea. They didn't just want to build a better database. They wanted to build one that was 1,000,000 times bigger.
I mean, just look at the sheer audacity of this. The entire industry, right? They're working in megabytes. We're talking floppy disks here. And Teradata? They're aiming for terabytes. That is a million-fold increase in scale. It wasn't just a little step up. It was an almost unimaginable leap of faith.
So, you have to be asking, how on earth were they planning to pull that off? Well, the answer was in a totally groundbreaking new architecture, something that would change the database world forever.
This was their secret weapon, massively parallel processing, or MPP. You know, the idea was actually kind of simple, but it was so profound. Instead of using one giant, overworked supercomputer to solve a problem, what if you used an army of cheaper, smaller computers all working on that same problem at the exact same time?
Okay, think of it like this. If you ask one librarian to find one specific word in a massive library, it's going to take forever, right? But with MPP, it's like you give that same job to hundreds of librarians at once. Each one searches just a few shelves, they combine what they find, and boom, the job gets done in a tiny fraction of the time.
And here's the real magic that made it all work, a shared nothing design. See, each little computer in that army, each node, it had its own brain, its own memory, its own storage. They weren't fighting over the same resources or stepping on each other's toes. This completely eliminated bottlenecks and meant the system could scale up almost infinitely just by adding more computers.
So, with this incredible technology in hand, Teradata was perfectly positioned to build an empire. They became the absolute backbone for the world's biggest and most data-hungry industries. And for about 2 decades, they were just untouchable. All through the 90s and the 2000s, if you were a huge company with a huge data problem, Teradata wasn't just an answer, it was the answer. They were the undisputed champs.
And their fingerprints were everywhere. They were analyzing every single purchase you made at major retailers. They were powering the billing systems for entire telecom networks. They were detecting fraud at global banks. Their specialized SQL engine was a work of art, built to handle these insanely complex queries that would just make other systems fall over.
But you know how these stories go. No empire lasts forever without changing. And just over the horizon, a massive shift was coming that was going to challenge the very foundation of Teradata's power, the rise of the cloud.
And this became the existential question for the company. The entire world that they had mastered, this world of on-premise hardware and big overnight batch jobs, it was all getting turned upside down by a new, much more flexible and dynamic model. And this right here, this is the clash of two worlds. The cloud brought in these totally new ideas. The biggest one, separating compute, that's the brain doing the work, from storage, the warehouse holding the data. This meant you could scale them up and down independently, which could save you a ton of money. You add in the need for real-time answers and this whole new universe of tools like Python and R, and it was obvious. Teradata had to evolve, or it was going to become a dinosaur.
So what do you do when the ground shifts beneath your feet? You reinvent yourself. And that's exactly what Teradata did. Their answer was a brand new platform, designed from the ground up to take on the challenge of the cloud.
And this is it, Teradata Vantage. The whole strategy here was about one word, flexibility. It embraced that key cloud idea of separating storage and compute. But, and this is so important, it didn't force customers down a single path. It gave them the choice to run their analytics wherever they wanted to.
And as you can see, Vantage is built to be everywhere. It runs on all the big cloud players, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, but it also still runs on-premises for companies that need that, or even in a hybrid model that stretches across both worlds. It meets customers exactly where their data lives.
And here's the really important part. Vantage didn't just tolerate the new world of data science, it embraced it. It wasn't just for SQL anymore.
Now it brought Python, R, and tools like Jupyter Notebooks right into the platform, making it a seriously powerful engine for modern AI and machine learning.
So as we wrap this up, it's really worth taking a second to appreciate Teradata's incredible legacy. I mean, long before anybody was even talking about big data, Teradata was already mastering it. They literally wrote the playbook on how to do analytics at enterprise scale.
And that leaves us with this final, really fascinating question. By reinventing itself with Vantage, Teradata proved that an old giant can absolutely learn new tricks. The challenge now, the billion-dollar question, is whether this 40-year-old pioneer can truly out-innovate a whole new generation of hungry competitors who were born and raised in the cloud.